Now let us look into the overview of yum. In Red Hat Flavor Linux, such as Red Hat, CentOS, Fedora, etc., softwares can be installed using yum. In this topic, we'll be only covering overview of yum. We'll not be getting into too many details with respect to yum. There are so much of other information which you should be aware of if you want to understand yum completely. In this topic, we'll only be covering those aspects which are important for us to set up local CDH repository. Beyond that, we'll not be covering or supporting. There are some standard repositories served by Red Hat or CentOS or Fedora communities, and the repo files for these standard repositories are available under /etc/m.repos.d. Here I am already connected to the server. Let me sudo to root and go to etc/m.repos.d and run ls-ltr, and you can see bunch of repo files here. These two are related to Enterprise Linux. EL in the CPL stands for Enterprise Linux. These are CentOS repositories, and this is Google Cloud repository because we have provisioned these servers from Google Cloud platform. That being said, if you open one of the CentOS repositories, which is nothing but CentOS base.repo, you can see the repo group name, which is base, and then the URLs are typically made available either through mirror list or base URL. Typically, we use yum install command to take care of downloading and installing the software. When we use yum install command, it will connect to the repositories that are available in base URL or mirror list, download the RPM files from there over the internet. Once the RPM files are downloaded, they will be installed, and as part of the installation, it will create a directory structure, and also it will create configuration files under etc. And also sometimes it will start daemon process associated with software. In some cases, after installation is done, we have to update the properties files under etc, and then we have to start the services. But some cases, there will be some typical configurations which will be used to start the daemon process associated with the software as part of yum install itself. Let us see some important commands with respect to yum. Yum repo list will give us higher level repo details. So let me come out of this and let me run yum repo list here. I am connecting again because that connection got struck and I have to kill that. And now I am inside the server again. Let me sudo to root and you can run yum repo list, and it will give us the higher level repo details. If you are using regular users, as long as that user have sudo access, you can use sudo and run these commands as well. Sudo yum repo list. If you want to get detailed information about your repositories, you can actually say sudo yum list all. It will actually show whatever are the repositories available in these repositories. You can see the group name here, and then you can see the repository name here on the left side, and then you can see the version of that repository. So you can use this part to install this particular software as part of your yum command using yum install. Okay, so we have already seen how to install wget. Earlier you can say sudo yum-y install wget, which will take care of installing the software. I did not type t here as there is no package by name wge. It failed. If I say wget, if it is not set up, it will set up. As it is already set up, it is saying it is already set up, and hence there is nothing to do. If you want to upgrade to latest version, if there is any latest version, you can say yum-y upgrade. The purpose of -y is to avoid prompting while installing or upgrading. If you do not specify -y, it will ask you to confirm whether you want to install a particular software or not. For example, let's say I want to install Telnet. Don't worry too much what is Telnet at this time. It's one software which we want to set up. If I do not use -y and if I say sudo yum install telnet, it will ask you to confirm whether you want to install or not. By default, it takes n, which means no. If you say y, it will install. So in this case, I don't want to install. and hence I want to say no, as n is default, which means no is default. We can just hit enter and it will not install anything for you. Okay, so those are some of the important commands. You can also remove a particular software using remove. So let us remove wget here. Sudo m-y remove wget, which will take care of removing the wget from this server. If you install certain software such as HTTPD, there will be configuration files associated with them, and those configuration files will be in this location. As of now, we did not set up HTTPD. We will be setting up at a later point in time, and we will be updating the files to customize if it is required, and we have to go to this location to do so, and then we have to start or restart the services associated with that package which we have downloaded. Okay, so /etc is very important location. We have to come here for some of the softwares to customize the configurations before running it or restarting it. Now let us understand, or let us recap why we need to do this. In larger enterprises, we might have hundreds to even thousands of servers. If we use standard repositories connecting to internet, there can be certain issues. Some of the issues are security and also slow, as it uses public internet, and sometimes it can even hog the internet completely within the organization, and it can impact the other mission critical applications. For these reasons, none of the enterprise will allow typical day-to-day installations to connect to the public repositories. There will be a local repository server which is managed by system administration team. You have to use that information and configure your servers to connect to those repositories while setting up standard softwares on your servers. It can be Cloudera distribution of Hadoop or even regular EPL or CentOS repositories. Now let us actually look at the steps involved in setting up local M repository server within an organization. We have to identify few servers so that we have load balancing, fault tolerance, etc. And then on all those servers, we have to set up Apache Web Server or Nginx. These are the servers which can be used to serve HTTP requests. Then we have to download repo configuration files which are pointing to the public internet. Only the designated servers where M repositories are configured are allowed to connect to the internet, and hence all the repo files will be pointing to the internet. Once those repo files are downloaded with the links to over the internet, we can create repo locally, and then we have to generate repo configuration files pointing to local M repository server, and then copy configuration file to other servers within organization. Going forward, all the other servers except for the M repository server has to connect to this local M repository server to set up the softwares. Whereas the centralized M repository server will be connecting to the internet, and the system administration team will periodically make sure the repositories are up to date as per the organization standards. We will be seeing how to set up local M repository server, especially taking Cloudera as example, as it is required for the certification in a moment.